Hi everybody! I want to read you a book today, and this book is called Appalachia, The Voices of Sleeping Birds. So the author is Cynthia Ryland, and the illustrator is Barry Moser. So remember what the author does in the book? They write all the words, and the illustrator makes all the pictures for the book. Publisher is Voyager Books. In a certain part of the country called Appalachia, you will find dogs named Prince or King living in little towns with names like Coal City and Sally's Backbone. These dogs run free. Being country dogs, their legs are full of muscles from running rabbits up mountains or from following boys who push old bikes against the hill roads they call hollows. These are mostly good dogs and can be trusted. The owners of these dogs who live in Appalachia have names like Mamie and Boyd and Ole. And they probably lived in Appalachia all their lives. Many of them were born in coal camps in tiny houses which stood on poles and on the sides of which you could draw a face with your finger because the coal dust had settled on their walls like snow. The owners of these dogs grew up more used to trees than sky, and inside them had this feeling of mystery about the rest of the world. They couldn't see because the mountains came up so close to them and blocked their view like a person standing in the doorway. They weren't sure about going beyond these mountains, going until the land becomes flat or ocean. And so they stayed where they knew for sure how the sun would come up in the morning and set again at night. The owners of these good dogs work pretty hard. Many of them are coal miners because the mountains in Appalachia are full of coal, which people want, and if you are brave enough to travel 2 miles down into a solid dark earth to get it, somebody will pay you money for your trouble. The men and women who mine the coal probably had fathers and grandfathers who were miners before them. Maybe some thought they didn't have any other choice but to be a miner, living in between or on the sides of these mountains and seeing no way to go off and become doctors or teachers and having no wish to become soldiers. Those who do go off, who find some way to become doctors or teachers, nearly always come back to the part of Appalachia where they grew up. They're never good at explaining why. Some will say that they had brothers and sisters still here and they missed them. It's a picture of a coal miner sitting on his porch. But most will shake their heads and have a look on their faces like the look you see on dogs who wander from home after being lost for a couple of weeks and who search out that corner of the yard they knew they had to find again before they could get a good sleep. Those who don't live in Appalachia and don't understand it sometimes make the mistake of calling these people hillbillies. It isn't a good word for them. They probably would prefer Appalachians. Like anyone else, they're sensitive about words. The houses in Appalachia are as different as houses anywhere. Some are wood and some are brick. Some have real flowers in pots on the porch and some have plastic ones. Here's a picture of a dog who found his very favorite spot in the yard to have a good sleep. Oh, and he kind of looks like Otis's dog, except a different color. Some have shiny new cars parked in their driveways, and some have only the parts of old cars parked in theirs. Most have running water inside the house, with sinks in their kitchens, washing machines in their basements, and pretty blue bathrooms. But a few still have no water pipes inside their houses, and they carry their water from an old well or a creek over the hill, and they wash themselves in metal tubs and build themselves wooden toilets in their backyards, which most of them call outhouses. Inside their homes, you will see photographs on the walls, mostly of their children or their families from long ago. And you will see pretty things they have made hanging on these walls. Clocks carved from wood, sometimes in the shape of their state, or wreaths made from corn husk. Some will have pictures they bought at the department store when they went into town. In their bedrooms, there are usually 1 or 2 or 3 quilts somebody in the family made. In the winter, these are on the bed, but usually not on top. And in the summer, they stay folded up on shelves in small dark closets which smell of old wood mothballs. The good dogs who live in Appalachia are not allowed on these beds, and most of them are not allowed in the house at all. They have their own houses. In the kitchens of these houses where Mamie or Boyd or Ole live almost always smell like fried bacon or chicken. And on top of the stoves, there are little plates of food with leftovers from breakfast or lunch or supper. And you can help yourself to a biscuit or maybe a piece of cornbread crumbled into a glass of buttermilk or some cold fried squash. What you don't eat up, the good dogs outside will get. And they are happiest when it's the sausage gravy no one could finish. Morning in these houses in Appalachia is quiet and full of light, and the mountains out the window look new, like God made them just that day. Night in these houses is thick. The mountains wear heavy shawls of fog, and night moths flap on the porch lights while cars cut through the dark hollows like burrowing moles. If it is a Sunday, nearly everyone will go to church. Most of these Appalachians are Baptists, but many are Methodists or Presbyterians. Here's a picture of somebody's stove. Some are Catholics. If the church is a Baptist church in the country, you can count on people wearing their good clothes. Women in dresses, men in suits and ties, and babies dressed up like pictures. There will be a lot of singing in that church, and maybe some crying for joy, and after the service, people will linger in the yard, talking till the women say it's time to eat. And they will go home and sit around the table spread with potatoes and beans and meat and good hot coffee or sweet iced tea. And they will eat until they can eat no more, except for a piece of lemon pound cake they saved room for. Sunday afternoon, they will go to the houses of their relatives to visit and will sit around the kitchen table again, talking, or on the front porch. They might do a little work for their mothers, who live alone, carrying a big box to the shed for her, or taking care of a nest of bees hiding near her basement door. Sunday night, some of them will go to church again. In the summer, many of the women like to can. It seems their season. They sit on the kitchen chairs or back porches and they talk of their lives while they snap beans or cut up cucumbers for pickling. It is a good way for them to catch up on things and to have time together, alone, or for neither children nor men come around much when there's canning going on. In the winter, many of the men like to hunt, and this seems their season. They take off into the woods together, their good dogs running ahead. And they hunt rabbit and sometimes deer, and they talk about things and feel happy and free. If they shoot something, they bring it back home and skin it and cut it up and put it in the freezer to cook later. The children love all the seasons. They go down by the creek or into the woods or up the dirt roads with their good dogs, and they feel more important than anything else in these Appalachian mountains. And probably they think often of God since they know the clouds and the trees better than anyone. They have seen what God can do. In summer, if you walk the roads, you will smell honeysuckle and the odors of cows and that gritty aroma dirt roads in the mountains send up your nose. The dogs will have a different smell every day. The men and women and the children who live in Appalachia have no sourness about them, and though they are shy towards outsiders, they will wave to you if you drive by in your car, whether they know you or not. Most would probably rather not meet anyone new, but since they are used to you, once they are used to you, you will find them bringing you bags of tomatoes from their gardens and sometimes a cherry cobbler. Most of them are thinkers because these mountains inspire that. But they could never find the words to tell you of these thoughts they have. They talk of you of their corn or their cows instead, and they keep the thoughts to themselves. When they die, they will want a preacher at their church to say the words at their funeral, and they will want to be buried in the Appalachian mountains with their families. That looks yummy. They will want someone to put flowers on their graves on Memorial Day. While they are living, they will look forward to spring so that they can go to the Southern States store and buy packages of seeds to plant. And they will look forward to summer so they can work outside among the sunflowers, repairing their fences. And they will look forward to fall so they can rock on their porches and stare toward the shimmering painted mountains. And they will look forward to winter so they can build their fires and watch the hollows fill up with snow, safe till the next year begins. Prince or king running the mountains like all good dogs in Appalachia. The end. I hope you enjoyed the book. Until next time. Bye.